Today we've come up to the Port of Alcudia. Port of Alcudia is a working port, but it has got a beautiful sandy beach and it is very popular with the locals. It's also very popular with the British tourists and international tourists as well. We've just been spoken to by someone who sounded pretty German to me. The water here is incredibly shallow. So it's very, very safe for children to paddle in. And there's a large expanse of sand and plenty of places for you to stop off on the beach. But we're going to explore what's going on. It's one of the areas that's been badly hit by the pandemic, and the news from today isn't so good, but more on that later on. We've just come back into the town area now. And yes, it looks to be quite lively, lots of shops open. Reports I've seen of the Alcudia area being very sad over the pandemic, everything closed down, but everything's looking pretty much open now. As I said in the beginning, the news isn't particularly good. Mallorca's just had its highest new cases, listed cases of the whole pandemic. Well over 700 diagnosed yesterday. It's not translating yet into hospital admissions, although they are up. And we've had no deaths for a long time, and we had the first death. So news is getting pretty bad here. People have been asking why, obviously. So in Ultimora today they tried to put an answer to that. And clearly it's not one thing that's caused this vast increase in the pandemic rate, it's several things. Largely to blame, according to the newspaper, and lots of other people too. The students that came here a few weeks ago and had their end of term party in Mallorca, in Arenal. So the opposite end of the island to where we are now. And during this party there was this big fiesta, big party in the bull ring, and other parties in Arenal and on the Playa de Palma. And as a result of these parties, over 2,000 of the youngsters ended up testing positive. And by that time they'd returned to the mainland, so they hadn't tested positive here in Mallorca. About 250 of them did, and they were put into quarantine here on the island. Always another problem. But another 8,000 on the mainland, dotted around the country, ended up in quarantine. So that's one of the big events that seems to have caused issues. Oh, we just found a shop.
Shopping centre.
Shopping centre. It's even worse. So these students may have been partly to blame, but it's not the only thing. There's a new variant on the horizon, which is Delta variant, Indian variant, whatever you want to call it. And that obviously seems to spread a little bit quicker than previous variants. There seems to be some others too. Other variants, that is. But all of this is being compounded with the fact that we've now got tourists here and the problems that brings. So with all of this happening together, we now have the biggest number of cases we've had so far in the pandemic, and that's now causing a lot of concern. Some of the business owners here are asking for new measures to be taken to protect the workers. A lot of the workers have not been vaccinated at all, or only received one vaccine. And at the moment only 50% of the population are fully vaccinated, and they've not yet reached their target of 70% having their first vaccine. So people are feeling a little bit nervous. The government are now actively looking at new restrictions, and they said they were not going to do this. The government here are actually going to look for some new restrictions here in Mallorca. one that the bars and business owners was to actually call for a curfew between 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning, which for most people that wouldn't really affect, but they're reluctant to do that. I think they have to go to the High Court to have a look for a ruling that says that they can have a curfew. Which is just looking for somewhere for us to eat. Found anywhere yet?
Do you want to eat or have a coffee?
So we found somewhere where we can have some tapas and ordered our drinks, and this is supposedly drinking water.
I shall have a vino in a minute.
Not my usual. Cheers everyone.
Cheers.
Nice and cool. Oh, just had a really nice set of tapas, and it was like a tapas menu del dia, if you like, and that's what we had. Prawns and garlic sauce, green peppers, that's the padron, spicy potatoes, chicken wings, barbecued and fried Spanish chorizo with some mixed croquetas as well, and onion rings, all for $12.90. Fantastic. So many places to choose from there. This is just off the front, just beyond the beach.
Very good, molto bene. It's like Mary Poppins.
Lots of bars and restaurants open here, and they're all vying for your custom. One of the things I wanted to do, which is something we've done before when we've been here in Puerto de Alcudia, is to walk up this ramp, because it gives you such an excellent view from the top. It looks like they're dismantling it, or part of it is dismantled, so you can't actually go up there. So that's a shame, really.
It'll be a bit hot up there, Dom.
A bit hot, but the view's good. If we walk along there, we'll get some shade there. Look at that, lovely shade.
Una camiseta de Mario.
So on our visits in the past to Puerto de Alcudia, we've always had a really nice lunch, and it's just a very pleasant place to walk around.
Antiques places.
Huge restaurants.
What was that?
Huge restaurants with not many people in, sadly. There's lots of streets and just off this main road. And they've got restaurants too. So I did say earlier on in the video before we had our lunch that the news here is not particularly good with the number of cases here. And it's not just Mallorca, the same is true throughout Europe. Numbers have started to go up again, in particular in the UK.
Let's go to have a look in here.
I just found a shop to have a look at. So while Anita's talking, shopping, I'll talk. So in the UK, the numbers have been going up, and a few weeks ago, Boris promised that the 19th of July would be the end of all of the restrictions, and there'd be no turning back. So this was like the way forward, and obviously what he's hoping for is herd immunity. So the news this morning, and it isn't even the 19th of July yet, was that some of the experts who were advising the government are now saying that you're going to have to reimpose some restrictions. One of the restrictions they've already imposed, which directly affects us here in Mallorca, is the return to the amber list for the Baleares. So the Baleares had been considered separate from the rest of Spain, but now we're going to go back from the green list onto the amber list, which means that people returning, if they haven't been double jabbed, they have to go into quarantine. And the really strange bit of the ruling, which is annoying expats over here, is that it specifically says in the ruling that it's the UK NHS double jab that counts. So people who've had their vaccinations in Spain are required to quarantine when they get back to the UK. Now they've said they're going to clear this up, but I don't think it's very high on their agenda, so nobody's actually talking about it. But people from Mallorca who want to go and visit their friends and relatives in the UK have got a really big problem, because if they do, then they've got to quarantine for 10 days. My family are dotted about the UK, and I'd planned to go back, and I've already booked my flight. Anita's already booked her flight, and it looks as though we won't be going, because it would be a little bit difficult to quarantine for 10 days and not be able to go and visit our friends and family. So it looks as though we're going to have to change those flights to some date in the future. They could change all of this. They could actually come around and say, yeah, we'll accept your vaccinations, and then we'll be able to go. But time's running short, and the airlines require you to tell them within 2 weeks. No, 7 days. A little bit noisy. A motorcycle. So dear, what have you found? Nothing. Oh, that's good.
Just have a look.
So it looks really as though our trips to the UK are going to be put on hold for some time. So I go back to work in September, Anita goes back to work in September. So the going back to work bit of it is going to cause a bit of a problem. So perhaps looking at half term, which is the end of October, for us to go back to the UK and visit our family, but we only have a week then. And as I've just said, our family is dotted about the country, so it means moving around from Stoke-on-Trent to Hampshire to Somerset. Big distances for us, and little time to do it in. So we'll see. Things seem to be changing so quickly here. I'm never really quite sure what's going to happen. So we're up in Alcudia. It's middle of July. It's really warm, and we've just spoken to the waitress, who said that they had the most incredible downpour of rain yesterday. So yesterday it absolutely threw it down for about 3 hours in the afternoon, and well, obviously there's little sign of it here today, other than when we came in there were all sorts of puddles outside the car park, we noticed. Where we were yesterday in Palma and in Mayor, there was no rain at all. So it just goes to show how localized the weather can be here in Mallorca. In one part of the island it can be pouring down with rain, and in another part it can be bright sunshine. Well, today we've got the bright sunshine.
I like your umbrella.
Police are out, checking to make sure everyone is obeying all of the restrictions. I've just said there's less restrictions now. You don't have to wear masks. People do. Some people feel as though they need to wear masks, but it's not.
Nice shady table. We've had lunch, thank you very much.
Thank you. And it's beginning to feel really hot. We're directly in the sun here. So I think what we need to do is just get to the end of here. Just have a look over this side, is where the boats are. And I've got some videos of boat watching. So I do like to watch boats. I did for a time work on some of these boats, not these little ones, the big ones over there. And they are quite amazing things. So they've always fascinated me. But I think they're nice to look at. People who own them have just got a money draining toy. Particularly those people in places like Puerto de Alcudia who've had a boat that they've not seen for 2 years. And we just found another shop to go in. Meanwhile, I'll seek out some shady spot and just take in the wonderful views. Like the fountains as well. A nice big marina here with a big open area in the middle and the hills around outside. If you're not sure where you are, there's a big sign here just to remind you. And we're in Alcudia. So those people who've been asking me what's it like in Alcudia, well, everything is open and it's really waiting for people to come. I just hope that that's going to happen. The latest announcement from Holland was that TUI Holland cancelled all of their flights from today. So if you're flying to Mallorca from Holland, that's been cancelled if you're flying with TUI. And the local government don't seem to think it's going to affect the UK tourists, but we're already getting word of cancellations from them. It's really difficult though, isn't it, if one member has to quarantine and another doesn't, and they return, all depending on what jabs you've had and where you've had your jabs. Found a shady street because there's so many shops down here. It is shady and it is a lot cooler.
Shade at least.
So as you're walking down the streets, we don't have to wear a mask, but we always carry a mask with us. If you get close to people or go inside, you need to wear the mask. Actually, where we're walking now, not only are we in the shade, but there is a really nice breeze.
There's no shops.
No shops. There's a supermarket across the road here. What more would you want?
Estaba con la cosa tal y aún así, 10 días más, ¿sabes lo que te digo? Aún así con la cosa tal,
Ducon, that's the sort of place you want to go and buy your supplies from. Big supermarket. Interesting mix of architecture here. So we've got the very modern next to be a little older. Is lovely, but I bet it's making a lot of noise on the video. I'm just going to turn the video off, it's getting a bit noisy. Quite often people ask me where you park or where we park when we go to different places. So normally when we come to Alcudia, there's a big car park as you come in. So coming from the Palm side, it's on your left hand side. This is the car park you can see in front of us. And usually we find a place to park in there. Today we came and it was packed. So lots of cars already there, lots of people trying to find a space. And a big chunk of it was actually dug up and doing some repair work. So we couldn't find a parking space, so we just drove around the back of the town and we found another parking area without too much difficulty. So parking, not too much problem. This is free parking, by the way, you don't have to pay for this. And the place where we're parked is just a piece of wasteland, so nobody collecting money there. That's the entrance to the car park. We just walked past two or three hotels actually, both closed, and the news in the local press is that some of the hoteliers here in the north of the island, Puerto de Alcudia, Campeca, these sorts of areas, they're running at a loss now, and with the current news it looks as though that some of them might be cutting their losses. There's a big hotel chain. What they will do is they will consolidate, so some of the hotels will close and the clients that were booked in there will be transferred to a different hotel. And usually what that means is you actually get upgraded a little bit, because they will keep the more expensive hotels going, so that's where they're going to keep the money. Nothing at the moment is very certain. Anita collects bugs, usually not quite this big. She's quite taken with it. Look, she needs to get a photograph, and that wouldn't actually fit in our garden anywhere. Maybe Adam can build one. There's lots of little bugs over here though that might. But it's very hot for what, a children's playground. Children don't play here, they'll be playing down on the beach. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little video that shows you a little bit of Puerto de Alcudia. We haven't probably done everything, but it just shows you a little bit of what it's like up here in the middle of July 2021, where the town is trying to recover from the pandemic, and again getting slapped on both cheeks at the moment. So thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye.